Mandatory is in 2 minutes under the awning of pit out. Again, 2 minutes until the mandatory drivers meeting is going to be under the awning where we go pit out. So if you haven't already, start making your way up here. Mandatory drivers meeting in 2 minutes. Sorry, 12 minutes. 12 minutes under the awning. 2 minutes. Nate Dean just informed me that we did move it up by a significant amount. So 2 minutes, drivers meeting under the awning here on pit out. Once again, drivers meeting got bumped up here, so starting now, if you haven't already, make your way up here quickly. Under the awning of pit out, we're going to have mandatory drivers meeting. Mandatory drivers meeting starting here in about a minute underneath pit out, so make your way up there now, please.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park, is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rib protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next, well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Hello and welcome to round number 2 of Route 66. We are live here on Kart Chaser Grassroots from Whiteland Raceway Park. My name is Caleb Smock, and also up in the booth is Nate Dean, Route 66's very own. And Nate, you did commentate this race last year, if I'm not mistaken. I've known you for a couple of years now, but this is the first time I've had the pleasure to work with you. So how are you feeling today? How's about this event so far?
Yeah, feeling good. We came here for the first time at Whiteland Raceway Park last year. It was a great event, great turnout, and we are back for a second year. Good turnout here as well, and just waiting on the KA100 Masters presented by Mean Wiener Racing to get on to the grid for their one and only qualifying sessions. One of the changes we've had from last year. Gone are the days of shootout and just one session to set the grid, as most of those drivers starting to get into their spots now. 9 KA Masters to set the field this weekend. It should be a good one. We had some close times in practice, but of course, Adam Kreppen is going to be the one they're all chasing, the champion from last season, and who almost went perfect on the year, apart from coming second in a qualifying session at Newcastle. He came at the top of every single session from then on. Caleb, I think Adam Kreppen is going to be definitely one of the ones to watch.
Absolutely, and the thing about qualifying here, it is 3 laps. Green, white, checkered is all you get to set the field. Now, they did have happy hour, which, if I'm not mistaken, if I read it correctly, the time you set in happy hour set the qualifying order. I don't think it's going to be that much of a factor, especially when you get in these a little bit lighter classes like you're talking about with KA Masters, how there's only 9 on track. You can get good spacing, but you got to be perfect. From the drop of the green, as soon as you go out of the pits to when the checkered flag goes, you have to be on your game. Tires are going to come in right on the last lap. You can maybe set a decent lap the first time out if you're able to get not so much of a toe, because this layout isn't that toe heavy, but you're going to have to be on it when those tires come in there on lap 2.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's kind of the stark contrast to where we're at Newcastle Motorsports Park to start off the season. A very straight line heavy track, and now we come into the oldest karting track in the US with its obviously new section added on, but it's very tight and twisty and very, very technical. Talking about the happy hour session that you mentioned, Caleb, Adam Kreppen went top of the leaderboard for that. 3/10 clear of Minnesota native and AMK Race Products driver Randy Klemek. Third rolling off will be Kevin Coleman, the sponsor of KA100 Masters. Rest of the top 5 are 2 Minnesotans, Chris Linden and Elias Baker, both of them coming to Whiteland Raceway Park for the very first time. So it should be very, very interesting indeed. Randy Klemek and Chris Linden especially were really far behind at the start of the weekend compared to Adam Kreppen, who really, really hit the ground running. But they're starting to close that back. Just in the first practice, both of those guys were about a second off of what Kreppen did, now just within a couple tenths. As we get these guys all suited and booted, ready to go for qualifying. Just a few short minutes here.
Yeah, and let's see if we can't take you guys on a quick little layout here of what the track looks like. This is referred to sometimes as Route 66 layout. It was used last year, so let's see if we can't get the cameras going a 1-lap session here, or not really session, but just 1 lap around the track here with our camera system we got set up. So what you're looking at now, that is the final 2 corners, the 2 double left-handers coming up out of the inner parts of the track. Then you come down here to what's kind of a straightaway, a little bit of a dog leg when you're going down the start. On the left-hand side of your screen where you can see one of the track marshals making their way over. That is the exit of the final corner. Start-finish straight is thrown somewhere in between the 2. And then you come down here out of that quick little dog leg, or out of the old, what used to be the oval, down the straightaway, coming from your right-hand side of the screen down to turn 1. Let's hold the shot here for a second. Let's see if we can't go back there real quick to that previous shot. Now, Nate, you have some time in the seat running 2 and 4 cycle, and the one thing that I noticed here when I was talking to drivers up and down the grid, it's a little bumpy, and you can kind of see that in the rubber buildup. It's not entirely smooth out all the way through. You can kind of see almost where the karts undulate over it. I'm talking to different drivers on the paddock yesterday and this morning. Some of them said that what they've found to work for them is to get in below the rubber and then kind of hope the kart hooks on its way out. I don't know if you think the same thing just by looking at that grip laydown so far.
Yeah, I mean, you think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, as starts are definitely going to be interesting compared to what we had at Newcastle Motorsports Park when we were running reverse at Newcastle, going into I-70, a very tight and technical corner, and now a pretty wide corner. If you think back to when CKNA North came here with Obviously, their grippy Vega Reds and now the MG SH2s having almost the same amount of grip. Some drivers were saying on that outside lane, it's almost the preferred lane because you're able to hold it around the outside with all that grip you have into what you have 3 and 4, the double rights there that we're starting to pan over to. Then it gets a little bit more tricky. Turns 5 and 6. Turn 5 is a very sharp hairpin that in the 206 classes, you're going to have to really keep your momentum up. And then you see the real challenge, turn 7 and turn 8. That's going to be difficult for these drivers to keep the momentum of the kart up as they head on to, Caleb, what is arguably one of the most important corners on this track, turn 8 and down the long back.
As you were talking about, the exit of turn 6 is that next one, that left-hander after that. The hardest hairpin, like you were talking about, turn 7, where the barriers go from white to black to the end of the tip. There is a little bit of a curve there, but that is completely tight. And yes, turn 8 following, that last left-hander before going on that long straightaway, if you maybe step out of line a little bit going into turn 7, it's not just going to hurt you in that short run, but it's also going to hurt you all the way down this back straightaway. And if we can switch over to that shot that we have going down the back stretch, you can get a little bit of a field of view. So this doesn't necessarily look like an entire long straight. However, where the cones come over and they go over that little crossover section, which used to be the crossover on the old track layout between turns 2 and 3, now is kind of flat. There is an opportunity for passing there. We've seen some drivers go side by side in club racing, but when it funnels back down into this banking corner that you can see on top of, that is when it has to go single file. You might be able to work 2 lanes through it. However, Daytona corner here, very notorious. It's in almost all the photos that we have. It's a beautiful corner, very challenging on the drivers with how much grip it puts down, but you can see the banking there, and you can also see a little bit of rubber there on the exit of the corner as well, just by people maybe flipping a little bit, going too fast through there, or going side by side.
Yeah, and you see the chicane layout right before Daytona. It's a lot more tricky than it leads on. In any other circuit where it's not as bumpy through there, you're really going to be able to hold it flat, but now with the bumps there and the brand new CIK FIA approved curve through there, drivers are hopping left and right as we are about to get going. As you can see, Adam Kreppen there at the top of screen. KA100 Masters is going green for their qualifying session, and who else but the 437, the reigning champion here at Route 66 and the winner of the United States Pro Kart Series round number 1 at Speed Sports earlier on this year. One of the best Masters drivers in the nation. Leading the field to the green, Caleb, is all of our 9 KA100 Masters now heading on the track for our first qualifying session of the day.
Yeah, so now they're getting themselves spaced out. They're coming out of the pit area like you talked about. 9 karts on track. 3 laps is the distance. So there's plenty of time for them to get themselves spaced out. And as you see that now, really no one's bunched up. There's not a lot of opportunity here in the 2-cycle class for a push or a tow like you'll see in the 4 cycles make their way through. But as you're watching there on the right-hand side of your screen, Adam Kreppen is going to be the first one to make their way across the line. There he is now coming out of the south side hairpin, making his way towards the inner parts of the track. And this is going to set the baseline, so to speak, for the times. Obviously going to go faster as the tires come to temp. As we pan back there, that is your second placement. I believe that is Randy there in the 409. That is Randy Klimek, going to be the second kart across the line.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a big talking point for this weekend is going to be how quickly those MG Red SH2s fire up. You see at the national level, especially at last weekend at Millwright Raceway for the USPKS round, some of the KA100 Senior drivers saying we don't want to run that full session, saving the tires a little bit, but still able to get in a quick lap time. It'll be interesting to see on a layout that's pretty tight and technical, just like Millwright. If they don't want to overheat those tires, just do a couple laps, pull in early, and save those tires for a long, long race weekend. The tires you qualify right now are the tires you are going to be crossing the line for the final on come Sunday. But you can see I'm coming through the bank corner. That's Chris Slinden from Minnesota, the kart lift driver, making his way through. Same with Minnesota native Elias Bakers. We're going to get our first real representations of lap time. Adam Kreppen coming across the line. It's a 50.9 for Adam Kreppen. 1 second clear of Randy Klimek before he comes across the line to make it 4.5 tenths. Kevin Coleman, nothing for him. He's half a second back on his MPG Motorsports Kart Republic, Caleb. As right now, it does seem like Adam Kreppen, when he crossed the line for the white flag, has the advantage going into the final lap.
Yeah, so one more time by, I think this is going to be the telltale of what the lap times are going to be all the way through. The good thing about being the first kart out, you don't have to worry about lap traffic. You don't have to worry about someone slowing your lap time. The bad situation of it is you're the first one going across. Most of these drivers have no idea what the other drivers are running. They might get a little sign from their crew chief or from their mechanics or what may have you. However, it's kind of coming down to Adam Crippen right now. He's going to go fast this lap, but let's see how far by. Like you said, last time by, he was a little bit clear of the field by about 4/10. This time by, looks like he's not able to improve. He's still sitting at that 50.90. Next one across the line is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, that should be Randy Klimek, also not able to go for pole position.
Yeah, none of these drivers improving apart from the 411 of Chris Linden. Barely goes a little bit faster, but he's 8/10 back. Elias Baker crossing the line. He's down on the 489 in 6th position. More drivers coming across to try and move their way up the field, and none of them are able to do it. We're going to wait for Bill Vorpagel and a couple more drivers to cross the line, see if they have anything for Adam Crippen, and I don't think it will be for any of the other drivers. And who else would it be but the 437 of Adam Crippen, who will take pole position in the Kart Sales Fast Time Award, the first one dished out this weekend. He'll be on pole for the Heat 1 later today for KA100 Masters. You can see there the final running order. Kevin Coleman on that MPG Motorsports Kart Republic. So close for him. 2.5 back. Then Randy Klimek, Bill Vorpagel, and Chris Linden rounding out your top 5, with Elias Baker, Ryan Hammond, Buddy Daly, and Scott Anders rounding out your 9 karts in KA100 Masters, presented by Mean Wiener Racing.
Yeah, and up next we have your Kit Kart set to take their 3-lap qualifying event, and we're actually going to go on a bit of a commercial break because they do change the track layout for the Kit Karts. They run the classic, so to speak, layout here at Whiteland Raceway Park, the one that has been ran for over 30 years. It's going to be about half the distance that we're running on now. So we're going to go on a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we still got more qualifying. Kit Karts are set to take their 3-lap session here when we come back live.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
So welcome back to Kart Chasers live coverage of the Route 66 Sprint Series, round number 2 here at Whiteland Raceway Park. Kit Karts are out on track as we speak for their one and only qualifying session. Like Caleb said earlier on, running the so-called classic layout of Whiteland Raceway Park, not doing any of the new section. It's a very tight and technical track for these drivers, as Kyler Hendrickson really getting sideways through there. That's turn 14. Is something he's been doing all weekend on his Top Kart chassis. Top Kart also sponsoring this Kit Kart class for 2024 as we follow along with the race winner from this event last year. Kyler Hendrickson making his way now back onto the regular track through the chicane, up and over those CIK FIA approved curbs that Whiteland Raceway Park installed just a few months ago. As you can see, the rest of the drivers making their way using that cutoff in turn 1. And at the moment, Kyler Hendrickson purple over Diesel Maxwell and Austin Benoit, 0.7 of a second for Kyler Hendrickson at the moment, as we'll be getting white flag in the air this time by from our flagman Mick Gallagher. Hendrickson extending that lead to Diesel Maxwell. It's 1.2 seconds for the 95 Top Kart driver, again making his way onto the regular part of the circuit. No drivers really changing up the order as it stands. It's still Hendrickson, Maxwell, Benoit, Kolar, and Caden Marsha, your top 5, and your only 5 in the Top Kart USA Kit Kart category. for the second round here at Whiteland Raceway Park. But we look back at Kyler Hendrickson. We'll see if he's able to gain some more time. Doesn't really slide the kart through there. Turn 14 and now out of 15 and 16. We'll see what he can do. Hendrickson across the line. He does improve. It's now 9/10 of a second, and Weston Kohler on that 06 is second as things stand. More drivers coming across the line. Austin Benoit is 1.2 seconds back. That puts him third. Diesel Maxwell down in fourth for the AMAX driver, and the top kart chassis driver across the line for Weston Kohler does not improve that time by, as it looks like it will be Kyler Hendrickson on pole position for Top Kart USA Kid Kart later on today. Again, just one heat race today, and then we'll move on to the pre-finals and the finals later on tomorrow. But you can see there by 9/10 of a second, Kyler Hendrickson on pole position to Weston Kohler, Austin Benoit, Diesel Maxwell, and Caden Marcia, as we'll be having Micro Swift on track next just shortly. The rest of these Kid Kart drivers file into line. The Kid Kart final last year was one race to watch, with Kyler Hendrickson and Diesel Maxwell banging wheels on the final lap. It's definitely going to be one that you should watch on those fence lines come tomorrow. But as we wait for Micro Swift to hit the track, and just a few short moments time, one of the drivers in this that you've seen on the national scene and at the front of the field, who had a really good Florida campaign at the start of the year, Danny O'Gara, that MPG Motorsports driver. The track that he calls home is definitely going to be one of the drivers to beat this weekend. He did very, very well last year across all races and excelled here at Whiteland Raceway Park. So 10 drivers in this Micro Swift category, presented by Techno Kart USA. They'll be ready to line up. A bit of commotion on grid as some drivers and parents running up there. Not sure what that might have been, a kart failing to start or something, but I think we're going to get the call from our grid man Steve in just a few short moments time, as you can see into the covered grid area that we have here at Whiteland Raceway Park. And just alongside them are the 206 Senior drivers ready to go after these guys. But on track now, Dominic Gaddis was fastest in the last practice session this morning, as Danny O'Gara on that number 1 plate MPG Motorsports kart will be rolling out last. So Gladys will be the first to see the green flag, as Liam Four, also one of those top drivers on track at the moment. I believe we have all the drivers on track and ready to go to determine the grid order for heat number 1 and to see who will get the Comic Kart Sales Fast Time Award as podiums happen tomorrow evening, as all the drivers making their way around, none of them really making any mistakes, everyone holding it in line as we watch on with the number 14 MPG Motorsports kart of Dominic Gladys through the Daytona corner of turn 11 for him to really follow the yellow brick road through there, hold the inside line. If you get shuffled up high, it's really hard to hold the grip. You might find yourself in the gravel trap if you're racing side by side through there. But since we're in qualifying, don't have to worry about that for Dominic, just having to keep the wheels straight, try and get every ounce of time out of this car. Coming across the line again, he's going to go fastest. He should go fastest, as a little bit of a glitch on a race here. We'll get that going and see what we got for times. Dominic Gladys still making his way around on that number 14 car. We can see here, this is turn 7 that we were talking about in the pre-race build-up. Very difficult corner to get right, but one that is a big passing opportunity, especially for the 206 classes, as there we have times. Dylan Braun, fastest on the number 37, I believe GFC kart is what he'll be running on, as it'll be white flag in the air. Next time by is behind him, Bo Wyatt, Lincoln Wiley, and Bella Brinkman, the other drivers, to set a lap time. There's a little bit of a glitch in timing and scoring, doesn't have the rest of the field, but really the last lap is the one that counts, so it shouldn't make that much of a difference. Dylan Braun, though, still holding top spot. He sets fast time again. We're going to wait to see what Danny O'Gara can do at his home track. He has a little bit of lap traffic to deal with that time by, so it'll be interesting to see if he gained any time on what he said previously, but still looking at the lead driver as Danny O'Gara sets forth that time, but Dominic Glass on that 14 Kart, he is down in 8th out of 10 drivers through the Daytona curve. They go as driver behind, that's Liam Ford, getting a little bit sideways. Just a couple corners to go now for the number 14 as he comes through 13, 14, and then the double left-hander of 15 and 16. There is Liam Ford on that Tony Kart. We're going to watch to see if any drivers improve. Dominic Gaddis goes purple, but Liam Ford takes it away by 0.07 of a second. We watch on to see what the likes of Danny O'Gara can do. Dylan Braun now up into 3rd for him, and where is Danny O'Gara? What can he do on the number 1 Kart? He's down at 7th at the moment. Coming out of the final couple of corners, you can see him come into shot now. O'Gara across the line for him. Purple for Danny O'Gara, and MPG Motorsports, they will be starting on the front row of the grid and have pole position for Danny O'Gara. He will lead the field to the green later on today. To Liam Ford, what a run it was for him, and so close. 0.06 of a second for Liam Ford as he did improve on that final lap. Dominic Gaddis in 3rd, and Dylan Braun and Will Feitinger in 5th. Very close session for the Micro Swifts, as you can see the rest of the field there. Bo Wyatt, Lincoln Wiley, Bella Brinkman, Chase Call, and Haber Nelson, your top 10. We'll be moving on from Micro Swift, presented by Techno Kart USA. Though the Micros have always been really fun to watch at Route throughout the couple of years, at least that I've been here and having the joy of commentating. But it's the final couple of karts will be heading off track. Caleb, 206 Senior is up on track next, and what a field we got for this 206 Senior grid.
Yeah, 206, definitely one of the highlight events along with the KA Senior. Like you just saw on the left-hand side of your screen, that is the top 10 for your Micros that went on track. Just one correction, though, because I make the mistake, too. That's Will Feistinger in the 5th position under MPG, set to go in the 5th position. How about that for MPG in general? I mean, you got pole position, you got 3rd position, you got 5th position. They're kind of a sea of red that you've seen out there so far from the MPG guys. But yes, on track now. This is what it's about when it comes to grassroots racing. Here at Whiteland Raceway Park, it's a bull ring track. We got the perfect engine package to go out. Let's talk about some of the block heaters, so to speak, top runners that we probably expect week in and week out, especially here at WRP. You got the likes. You have Kardashian, who's out, and I saw him on a 4-cycle push his way up there in the 555. Adam Maxwell, AMAX Racing, based here at Whiteland Raceway Park. Eli Warren, someone who started racing here in 206. You have, sorry, I just lost my train of thought here, but Zimmerman we've seen earlier today as well, out on track, the first one to go out as well. Miller, just a very deep build so far here in 206. And I'm sorry, too, I'm trying to find live time scoring on my laps, so we all know what we're talking about here. But yes, 206 Senior on track now for their 3-lap qualifying session. This is the first 4-cycle class we've had on track. Towing and pushing might be a little bit of a strategy, but I think it's more of a gamble than anything here at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add a couple more drivers to that list, to talk a little bit more about Cale Zimmerman, what a driver he is, one of the best 4-cycle drivers in the nation on board that VLR chassis. The 505 will be first across the line as Alexander Kardashian on the 555 comp kart for Kardashian, with Connor Fashing, his home track teammate there. Behind him as Alexander Kardashian goes quickest. But other drivers that you absolutely have to keep an eye on, like you said, Eli Warren is definitely going to be one of them. Braden Johnson did very well here last year, but at the moment, Alexander Kardashian leads Jerry Fandry, who has come very close to some major national wins, especially at CK8 Brands last year in the 206 heavy class. Came up short though, but Jerry Fandry, obviously one of those drivers you always have to take into contention when you talk about 2:06 Senior driving. So at the moment, as you can see there on the live time, it's Alexander Kardashian followed by Jerry Fandry by 0.04 of a second. Over Connor Fashion, Cale Zimmerman, and Eli Warren. What a stacked top 5 we have for this 2:06 Senior grid, as they'll be getting the white flag this time by. What can Cale Zimmerman do? Looks over his shoulder, try and get a gauge on what he's got to Kardashian. Kardashian has a 0.6 of a second, make it 0.3 of a second gap to now Eli Warren, who breaks into that front row. It's a 1/10 or so between Eli Warren and Alexander Kardashian, who is starting to gain, Caleb, on Cale Zimmerman. He's going to start to get the draft. Cale Zimmerman, obviously a really quick driver who might have to deal with some lap traffic, but that VLR chassis just doesn't seem like it's working to his advantage, and Alexander Kardashian is going to have a huge draft down this back straight.
Yeah, like I said, that VLR just looks like it's a little stuck there going through 7 and 8. Kardashian and that green comp car just sitting just behind him as they make their way out of the south side hairpin. And I tell you what, if Kardashian catches up to him too quickly, he's going to have to give him a little bit of a boot, because if he backs it off, it's going to ruin his lap. And I think this third lap is going to be crucial. Up the hill, hasn't quite gotten to his rear bumper. There he is, giving a push across the stripes. Let's see what Kardashian does. He doesn't seem to improve. It's going to plateau, and that's not going to open Pandora's box. It looks like no one else is able to improve as well. Just kind of plateaued, and I think that may have done it for Kardashian. Warren has Warren has not crossed. So we're waiting on Warren. Fandry went across the board. He was not able to improve his position, was able to improve his time. So now we're waiting for Eli Warren. He crosses the line too, and I think that's going to lock it in. So a little bit of movement there just outside the top 10. In the 9th position there with Cami Feister able to move up a position. But that's going to do it for Alexander Kardashian, your pole sitter here for the heat races this afternoon.
Yeah, and we talked about how grippy these new MG Red SH2s are that Route 66 is utilizing. A lot of the karting paddock, karting series in general, are using this year. And the main talking point, at least I've had, especially on these 206 karts, is how quickly these drivers get those karts gripped down and really start to have way too much grip. The kart gets tight, as a lot of drivers would say, and a lot of drivers having to really dial the grip back through these karts. And I mean, like we just saw there, Caleb, no one really improving on their final lap. Cale Zimmerman did, but he was 0.8 back from pole man Alexander Kardashian. You can see the results there. AMK Race Products on top, alongside War Power Racing own Eli Warren, then Wyatt Leslie, Jared Fandry, Connor Foshing, your top 5. Cale Zimmerman, Braden Johnson, Kira Stye, Cami Feaster, and Adam Maxwell rounding out your top 10 for Lawson Speed Shop 206 Senior.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, some ones that may have been a little shocking to us up here in the booth. I mean, Braden Johnson, this is his home track with AMAX. He usually is up front week in, week out. Jerry Fandry, Jerry Fandry 1, he's all over the country. He's running the TSRS series under the TB Kart branch based in Amarillo, Texas. So he's going all over, back and forth between being Illinois based and going down to Texas. He's almost won the Rock Island Grand Prix a couple of times. Very heavy base in that 4-cycle class, set to start there in the 4th position. And another one too, Adam Maxwell. He's won CK&A Grands before. He's very comfortable in that 4-cycle package that AMX Racing has provided. Finds himself in 10th, so he's going to be one it's going to be interesting to watch when it comes time for the heat races. But on track now, we're going to go back to the kiddos yet again, as we are now live with your micros set to take their way out on track. This is the 2nd youngest division that we have. The kid kart is the youngest, and they make their way up to micro or 206 Cadet. I did forget about that. 206 Cadet is the same age category as the micros, and then from there they have the option to go up to mini, followed by the other junior liners that are provided as well. But on track now is your mini Swifts. AJ Stoner, I'll tell you one thing, that boy has been impressive not only here at Whitelands, but also across the regional circuits as well. On the Stars Championship Series in CK&A, he normally runs up front here in WRP. Bentley McCain, another one who we've seen up front as well. Didn't have as good of a happy hour time set there in P8. Jacob Majetsky, someone who I think is very familiar being on that regional series, currently set to go on a track in P3 as the first lap is about to come in the books now. First one to the line is going to be Cameron Johnson in that Kart 110 that you just saw there across the screen. So let's see what the baseline time is going to be. A 53.730, and appears to be very competitive. Stoner less than a 10th behind him with that 0.84 off. Treve able to go up the order as well. Tucker Treve, that is, up to P3. Majewski settles into P4, and Alyssa Eddy there rounding out the top 5 so far after lap number 1.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more of the driver that we see on screen. Cameron Johnson, who sits on provisional pole in BBS Race Engines Mini Swift, has been so consistent on the national level of the Stars Championship Series, at the United States Pro Kart Series, and is knocking on the door of his first national win, but it hasn't quite come to him. He started on pole at the Carolina Grand Prix for the second round of the USPKS season and was very quick and fighting with some of the best cadet drivers in the entire country and the continent in Micro Swift at USPKS. White flag in the air this time by, and Cameron Johnson has 3.5 tenths to AJ Stoner. Make that 700th and make that Tucker Tribe on the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy 122. That is provisional pole for him. That is the 2 Franklin Motorsports karts of Cameron Johnson and Jacob Majewski, then AJ Stoner. And how about Alyssa Eddy? Half a second off on the PSL Racing Machine. That is your top 5 as things stand. But watching now, Caleb, Cameron Johnson on that 110, really going over the curb there on the entrance of the chicane. That was turn 9. These CIK FIA approved curbs can really bite you if you hit them wrong. Watching Tucker Treve there come across through the Daytona corner. Just a couple more corners to go now for Cameron Johnson. A really tricky section to get right. Double lefts to go. Go all the way to the wall. Get all the time you can. What can Cameron Johnson do? It's not enough. 0.06 of a second divide him and Tucker Treve, who is still on provisional pole. None of the top 5 are really changing. It's the same that we saw last lap, as I believe Tucker Treve can hold this right now. I believe it'll be the 122 Alan Rudolph Racing Academy Burrell Art Machine to take pole in BBS Race Engines Mini Swift. Very close session there, Caleb, and what could have been for the Franklin Motorsports drivers, but they still have a driver on the front row, and really the amount of youth and talent they have under that tent is unprecedented. So for Cameron Johnson and Jacob Majewski, at least they're going to have a drafting partner to try and work with each other to get away from Tucker Treve. But Tucker, what an amazing job he did there. Provisional pole for him, and again, AJ Stoner in 4th, Alyssa Eddy running out to top 5.
Yeah, so that will do it for your minis, your mini Swift, that is, as they make their way into the pit lane now to go across the scale house and through the scale line. Up next is your going to be 206 Junior. So another bigger event that we have here. The 206 classes normally race extremely well here around the Raceway Park. And then the highlight event, the KA100 Senior follows B and A. So we are going to split them up, I believe, into 2 groups here for qualifying, for their 3-lap qualifying session, since it's one of the bigger classes. And I think that's going to be one of the tightest qualifying sessions that we have to come here later on this afternoon. It looks like there are no pickups that we need to go over so far, so I believe we're going to stay live here on stream as we get set to go for the 206 Junior category. And I'll tell you, Nate, I'm a little surprised so far. The lap time seemed to plateau on that second time around. That lap 3, have seen a couple of movers there outside the top 10 in all the classes, but we haven't really seen a last second, chance for it to go for that top position. So it looks like if you're someone who's still yet to go in the later divisions, most likely in the KA100 and 206 Sportsman and KA100 Junior classes, you're probably looking at that, maybe trying to adjust your tire pressures from there or try to figure out a strategy for qualifying.
Yeah, maybe it's just the fact of the qualifying session is 3 laps, but maybe with these tires you only get 2, and some drivers playing into their advantage with that one. It's become a really interesting game, has qualifying ever since the switch to this new tire compound from MG. As, like you said, 206 Junior presented by AMK Race Products about to hit the track for their qualifying session. You can kind of get a glimpse of Brady Schott in his bright orange helmet through there. He's one of the drivers on that front row. Brady was the winner here last year, and he's going to want to try and defend that on his Millwright Racing Merlin. We are getting set to get these drivers on track. A very good-sized field for 206 Junior this year, as 16 karts ready to go as the first driver on track. I believe that's Christopher Yotzi on the Mark Steel Motorsports Burrell Art Machine, followed by Brady Schott, and then Braden Domont, who moved up along with Christopher Yotzi from the cadet divisions up into the junior ranks. And how about Braden Domont, who kind of struggled in the cadet divisions, really couldn't get that kart figured out fully, but the second he starts to run in a junior class at KA Spring Nationals at Charlotte Motorsports Speedway. He really started to figure it out, driving with some of the best drivers in the nation, like Isaac Mountgut and the rest of the field there. So Brandon Domont definitely going to be one of those drivers to watch. But Christopher Yotze, your champion from 206 Sportsman last year, he's going to definitely be a contender this weekend at his home track for AMAX Racing. You can see him there, the 333, ducking already and trying to get every ounce of time out of that kart that he can find. How about Max Kraus, who was kind of midfield throughout the entirety of the season last year? He was 4th fastest in the happy hour session we had just a few hours ago, as Christopher Yotze might have dropped a tire there, seeing a little bit of debris coming up as Brady Shad, really closing in to the 333 Burrell, as Caleb, that could be a real advantage for those two, as obviously it's not the biggest drafting track in the world, but still, on hot, sticky rubber like this, and really in a 206, you will take any piece of help you can get. If you got someone pushing you, then that's really going to help you in this qualifying session.
Yeah, and let's think about that too, like you're just saying, anything helps, especially when you look at the lap times, it's separated by tenths or less than a tenth of a second. Like you were talking about, there's not really a whole lot of long back straightaways, but the sweeping corners, somewhat, you could call it flat out, especially here in the 4-cycle junior category there into turns 2 and 3. Big old sweeping corners, maybe not entirely flat into 1. If you're able to cut a little bit of air off, especially right here over through that crossover chicane, heading into the Daytona corner, that is going to be crucial, as you're seeing that here from Brady Shad, closing up even more to the back bumper of Christopher Yotze there out in front as they make their way into the hairpin. Now, that's a bit of a risky move once you save for qualifying. That's typically not something you want to do.
That's a bold one. That's one you save till the end of the weekend in a final where they least expect it. Not in a qualifying session, guys, but Brady Shad, obviously it worked for him because he went fastest that lap. If he can make a pass in turn 14, one of the tightest and slowest speed corners on the track, what else does that Millwright Racing Merlin have in that kart in terms of time? Christopher Yotze, like you said, is just really starting to drop back already as they make their way onto the back straight now. But it is still Brady Shad, Brady Doan, Max Kraus in the 3rd. What a qualifying session thus far for him. Jack Bieber and Shane Reddy, your top 5, Caleb, as they head into the Daytona corner for the final time. Who's going to take the pole position for 206 Junior?
Yeah, now Yotze's got a little bit of a tone. He's going to need to try to recoup something this lap. That pass into the inside hairpin definitely hurt himself as it improved Shad's time. Yotze finding himself back there in the 12th position. Let's see if he's able to prove it now. Let's see if Shad's able to improve on the 3rd lap. Haven't seen a whole lot. Across the stripe they go now, and it looks like not much of an improvement there. Actually, no improvement from Brady Shad. No improvement for Christopher Yotze either. And it looks, again, everyone kind of plateaus. Anthony falls down 1 position. Bieber goes up to 4th, but looks like now, oh, sorry, I'm blind. Christopher Yotze goes to pole. Interrupt me next time there, man.
Christopher, I didn't see it either on my live timing. It wasn't updating, but yeah, Christopher Yotze, how about it? By 0.03 of a second, too. It was close between himself and Shad, as Braden Domont, who almost got the win here at 206 Sportsman last year, he'll be starting on the 2nd row, but will have that inside lane to his advantage, only pushing Christopher Yotze to the green. Jack Bieber, Max Kraus, Colin Eddy, who was also in the 206 Sportsman battle for the win last year, is up there along with a home state driver for him, Shane Reddy, right behind in 7th, and actually making it 3 Minnesota drivers in a row. Colin Eddy, Shane Reddy, and then Blake Sarcho, your 6th, 7th, 8th spots. Then behind them, you have Tyler Johnson and Evan Benoit rounding out your top 10. It was a very, very closely contested 206 Junior qualifying session presented by AMK Race Products.
Yeah, and have no fear. Our timing and the production manager, Stuart, came over here and made sure that we had timing and scoring on our 2nd screen up here. So hopefully that won't be another issue for you guys. But yes, Christopher Yotze able to recoup. And I tell you what, up until that final lap, he wasn't looking good. He was back there in that 12th position. Honestly, I don't think he was going to be able to pick up that much, or drop that much time, I should say, but I think having the toe off of Brady Shad that final lap played a factor. We're going to go over to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, it is going to be one of your highlight events. It's KA100 Senior, 2 sets of qualifying sessions going out for A and B, coming to you guys here live when we come back. You're watching, this is Route 66 Sprint Series, and actually we're going to stay on the stream as the KA100 Senior class rolls off now, and if you can't tell, I'm a bit rusty in the booth here, Nate. I haven't been been doing this for a while, and we're just breaking off all the rust here today as we're now set to go out. And let's talk about the mix of drivers we have in the KA100 Senior session. The slow group, I believe, is going out first, or the B group, and then the fast group, or the A group, is going to follow as well. And I'll tell you what, this might be the quote-unquote slow group. You still have incredibly fast drivers in this. I mean, Vaughn Beasley runs up front at the SCUSA Pro Tour, USPKS. You have the likes of Carson Sauter, who runs up front here on the regional series along with the nationals. Lane Gibbs, Powers. I mean, you got kind of a decent crew right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about Vaughn Beasley, who's one of those drivers that we've had to keep an eye on both at the regional and the national scene. Fairly new to racing, but really taking it by storm. One of the fastest drivers we've seen here at Route 66 and always able to contend at the front of the field. And like you said, this may be the slow group, but I can pick out about 3 or 4 different drivers who can really contend for wins as the lead pack coming around. One of the drivers behind the host driver development driver of Nicholas DeFillo, who had a fairly good weekend at the Stars Championship Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He could be a contender for maybe a top 10. More drivers. Bryce Mersberger, who is always one to keep an eye on in Route 66 competition, will be one to keep your eye out for as it is white flag next time by for these KA100 Senior drivers presented by Mill Lake Racing. Kale Zimmerman, also one of those drivers in there who runs very, very well in the 4-cycle side of things. So he's pretty new to the 2-cycle racing. He admitted to me like he's still got a lot to learn from this IAME KA100 engine platform. So we're going to probably see him develop more as a 2-cycle driver throughout the year. But white flag in the air this time by Caleb. We're going to see some drivers probably get shuffled around here as they come across the line, as DeFillo goes purple for the time being. Zimmerman up into 4th, but still we got a fast group to go. Roepke up into 4th. That gets taken away by Mersberger in 4th. Now Braden Rudder up into 2nd. Very, very hotly contested here, Caleb, with half a track to go for these leaders.
Yeah, Braden Rudder, a gentleman who grew up racing here as a kid at Whiteland Raceway Park, just now starting to branch off in the regional and national series. I know he went down for the Daytona Sprint Weeks there with the WKA earlier this year. He's trying to get more just branching outside of his local tracks as he's made his way now into P2. Final lap here as you're watching now. I believe we're watching with the 946 of Grant Vogel on that OTK chassis top kart, or Tony kart, making the way into the hairpin for the final time. And again, third lap has now been kind of a crapshoot. Some improve, some kind of plateau. Let's see what Vogel does. He's going to be the first one across. He improves his time and position as DeFello goes up to P2 now, so they're going to push Braden Rudder down a couple more positions, and now it's all going to get mixed up here as they come across. Here's Mersberger up into the 2nd position. Right now, still Giovanni holding on to provisional pole, but we still have that 2nd group to go out as well.
Yeah, of course. It's obviously nice to top the qualifying section, but you still got a lot of quick drivers to go in this main group. But Santoro leading things for the time being for those drivers on grid and ready to go for KA100 Senior, the fast group. It's a 50.619 to beat, and I think it's going to be very hotly contested indeed. Bryce Mersberger and Nicholas DeFillo, along with Charles Roepke and Grant Vogel, your top 5 from this session. You can see results there. Braden Rudder, I believe he calls this track home in 6th. Cale Zimmerman, not the qualifying session Cale would have wanted. He's almost 9/10 back there. Other drivers, Nathan Trapp down in 11th, Elias Baker down in 12th there. 2 Minnesota drivers, Lee Martineau, the last driver in this group, 2.3 seconds down. So, Caleb, I'm starting to thinking we're probably going to see the top 3 maybe hold their positions a little bit. Obviously, they're going to get shuffled down, but still, you don't really know what a very quick time in qualifying on this layout here is going to be, because everyone's obviously on their own different practice programs throughout the day. So we're going to have to find out from what is a stacked field of KA100 Senior drivers ready to go for the 2nd group.
Yeah, and KA100 Senior, whether it's local, national, or regional, the one thing for sure is you can never predict what's going to happen. It's always some question marks up in the air as you see the first rolling out now. I believe that is Charlie Steins there on that Top Kart USA entry there in the red suit. There's, I believe that was Kardashian as well. There goes Maxwell. There goes Eli Warren. And you want to talk about it, it seems like we're watching a regional or national series race right now at PKS SCUSA or Stars, just with the amount of depth that we have in this field so far. It may not be the most large group that we have, but it is definitely a deep one as well as making way through. There went Kardashian flipping by on your screen on the right-hand side. again, this first lap is when they get the green. So the next time by is when we're going to see lap times start to come in here for this is Group A for your KA100 Seniors. You're watching the rest of the field making their way through. I believe that is the 925. Trying to see if I can put a name to that car right now. Von Beasley, yes. I should have known that one. There goes Charlie Steins on that red suit, the top cart. There goes Kardashian as well. And I think what you're watching there, that front 5, 6 carts right there, I think that's going to be the group where Poole is going to come from.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's touch on the topic of just how good these drivers are. The driver you see there out in front, Von Beasley, fought for the win at the Route 66 Sprint Series at Newcastle and the Stars Championship Series also at Newcastle Motorsport Parks as well. Alexander Kardashian, third on the track, was fighting for a podium in Las Vegas at the SCUSA Super Nationals. Eli Warren has a national race win to his name in the past year at the club race for the Stars Championship Series, and Adam Maxwell gained the win in KA100 Senior at the WKA race down in Daytona. A lot of talent in this field as well, as we're going to be getting white flag in the air this time by Eli Warren and Luke Powers. It's a war power 1-2 for the time being, and you have to think, Caleb, Von Beasley is going to make his way up into that pack as well. He's a second back with that 925, a new livery for him this weekend from what we saw at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Will cross the line to go for provisional pole, taken away by Charlie Steins. There's Alexander Kardashian now takes it away. Eli Warren to the top of the scoring pylon. All these drivers deciding to go fastest. Jonathan Kotek in 5th now. Luke Powers in 3rd. Lucas Clark moving into the top 10 for him as yellow flags as one driver off into the barriers there. That looks like a hard impact there, as that's one of the MPG Motorsports drivers. I can't quite identify who that is. Hopefully they're all okay. They're up and walking, so they should be good. But what can Von Beasley do? He has to respond, getting sideways out of turn 11, out of the Daytona corner. It's the 925 that's going to have to try and dethrone both of his War Power teammates of Luke Powers and Eli Warren. Out of the final couple of corners for the OTK driver, sliding a little bit there through 15 across the line. It's not enough for Von Beasley or Charlie Steins. No one's dethroning Eli Warren as of yet. Same with Alexander Kardashian and same with Steins. Kotek for Techno Kart USA up into the top 3 and on to the second row of the grid. Lucas Klemek now up into 7th for the AMK Race Products EOS, as Mason Surgener up into the top 10 there. Michael Levitt, you'll recognize his name from him running at the front of the field at Texas Sprint Racing Series. He's up into the top 10, and that is your KA100 Senior field. Eli Warren at the front of the field will lead Alexander Kardashian to the green with Jonathan Kotek, Charlie Steins, Luke Powers, Adam Maxwell, Lucas Klemek, Von Beasley, Michael Levitt, and you see there Carson Sauter. What a top 10 we have here, Caleb, and I cannot wait for this Heat 1. But main storyline there, Eli Warren and War Power Racing on pole position, and he'll have Luke Powers to help him out there, as not quite the run Von Beasley would have wanted down in 8th, but you have to think if those three find each other on track, they'll do the same thing they did at the Sim Series we ran this winter and just run away with it, especially at an Indiana track for those guys. But what a qualifying session for this Millwright Racing KA100 Senior.
Yeah, and like you're talking about too, I think it's going to come down to that top 5 to 10 is really going to be close. Warren, Kardashian, Kotek as well, Charlie Steins. And then you look at just the mix between guys who don't really run here on the regular and drivers that do. Eli Warren used to run here on the regular, then he started branching out. Alexander Kardashian, being the Minnesota native, doesn't really find himself down here at WRP a whole lot. Charlie Steins is based here. Luke Powers, Indiana native, but he's based out at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Adam Maxwell based here. Lemick, not quite based here at WRP, has done a couple of races. Von Beasley. So it's just a mix of drivers who call this place home and those who don't, and I think this is going to be, again, one of the highlight events we're going to have here this weekend, as we're set to go for more qualifying coming your guys' way, as we just got done with KA100 Senior B and A group. Up next is going to be 206 Sportsman, and following that will be your KA100 Junior. Again, it's going to be the same thing as KA Senior, split into 2 groups, B and A. As we sit now, we do have that one cart pickup that we have over in turns number 8. So we're going to take a quick break up here in the booth and go to a commercial break. When we come back, it will be your 206 Sportsman set to take their qualifying session.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Welcome back here as we're about to get set and underway for the rest of the qualifying sessions. We still have your 206 Sportsman, followed by your KA100 Junior B and A group to go. And that was the 944 who had the incident there, the MPG KR that had the incident over there in turn number 8. Can't quite see the driver from here, and I can't remember numbers off the top of my head like that, but unfortunate to see. I'll tell you what, that young man definitely has his work cut out for him as Nate Dean is going into research mode here to see if we can't get a name for that driver. And then Lane Gibbs, wow. How about that, Lane Gibbs? Unfortunate event for him, and it looks like he's missing the left front, so I'm wondering if maybe a wheel may have came off there going into turn 8. He just went nose first into the barrier, but I'll tell you what, for that young man who just made the jump from junior into senior, is going to have his work cut out for him, especially with how deep that field is. But we are set to go now for your 206 Junior. The Kubota is going back to sit in the staging position. And once it is, we're going to send out this group, and there goes the first couple of drivers to make their way through here for their 3-lap qualifying session. I'll tell you what, Nate, this has by far been one of the most exciting qualifying groups I've watched.
Yeah, absolutely, and Daniel Guerra is going to lead us to the green on that Top Kart USA chassis with AJ Stoner behind. This was probably one of the classes to watch last year for the 2023 round we had at Whiteland Raceway Park. Green flag in the air from our flagman Nick Gallagher as the rest of the field starting to make their way around the track. But Caleb, you know a lot of these Indiana natives and Whiteland Raceway Park natives a lot more than I do, and how about it for Daniel Guerra and AJ Stoner to be on top of Happy Hour? Those two are probably going to go at it for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, and I tell you what, looking at all these names now, it looks like a club race here at WRP. If O'Gary you're watching right now in that 267 Top Kart USA chassis, going through Daytona Corner, AJ Stoner under the AMAX branch on an EOS chassis, or Coyote, I should say, in that second position as well. Dominic Gaddis on the MPG KR, their Happy Hour P3, as we're now about to have the first couple of qualifying laps in now. Here comes O'Gara taking him to the stripe to set the benchmark going forward. And I believe that was AJ Stoner there to follow from. There is AJ Stoner now up onto provisional pull. Dominic Gaddis goes up to P2 right now, so the benchmark time is a 57.130. I have a feeling second time by is when we're going to see all the shakeups, as there goes Golseth up into the second position. And I'll tell you what, O'Gara finds himself in P4 now after having a stellar Happy Hour qualifying lap.
Yeah, absolutely, and talking a little bit more about the times and when they're going to set it. Think about back to Micro Swift. A lot of the drivers not able to improve on that final lap. Same with Mini. We're back on to those cadet chassis, so this could be the money lap for a lot of these drivers, depending on how they set the karts up. As you can see there, the 267 Top Kart USA machine, piloted by Danny O'Gara, making his way through the old track section, through turns 14 and now the double laps of 15 and 16 to get the white flag, but this could be the lap that determines the starting order for Heat 1. O'Gara goes purple, but not for long. 6/10 goes AJ Stoner as we have a tie for pole position. AJ Stoner and Dominic Gaddis, the exact same time of 56.183 for those two drivers. AJ Stoner setting the time first, so provisionally he is on pole, and Daniel O'Gara is 6/10 back in his home track for Top Kart's home track. Not what he wanted thus far, but maybe, Caleb, they have a setup that really allows him to get the full potential out of that kart on the final lap. He comes through the Daytona corner, and a couple corners left. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, in that top 4, as far as talent goes, incredibly close. AJ Stoner usually goes on dominant runs along with Dominic Gaddis here, but we got 4 chassis and 4 different teams and manufacturers out in front now. Here comes O'Gary. Got a little bit too much curb there on the inner hairpin. Now up through the final turn. Let's see if he can maybe get something out this 3rd lap. And it looks like no. He improves his time but not positions. Here goes the rest of the field. Dominic Gaddis. He goes to provisional pole. 2/10 cleared of AJ Stoner going to 55.9. So no longer a tie for pole position, which that would have been absolutely amazing to watch if we had seen 2 identical times. They're starting the front row. But as of now, with the final cart going across the stripe, it will be Dominic Gaddis for the MPG boys on the Kart Republic chassis to start on pole position. AJ Stoner on the Coyote under the AMAX branch in P2. Pearson Golseth will be in the 3rd position. Danny O'Gara on the Top Kart USA will be in 4th. Gavin Dyer in P5. Elam Stoner will be in the 6th position. Kason Hendricks in 7th. Chase Call in 8th. And Rhett Johnson rounds out your field in 9th. So that is going to do it for your 206 Sportsman. Up next in the final group of qualifying is your KA100 Junior. Again, it's going to be split up into 2 like KA Senior was, with the B group going first, followed by the A. And those splits were determined from happy hour just by the fastest lap time they could have done. Not really a qualifying session, but did dictate where to go out on track. And as of now, there hasn't been a whole lot of bumping and or drafting that we've seen so far in qualifying, especially here on this tighter layout. It's kind of hard to do. We've kind of just seen everyone try to space themselves out.
Yeah, absolutely. And on to KA100 Junior. I see front runners at the top of the grid, so I think we're just doing 1 qualifying session for this quick swim KA100 Junior field. And what a field we do have here is a lot of local drivers that will be doing well, along with some of the brightest young talent on the national scene as we get the final few 206 Sportsman drivers off track in the final qualifying session of the day. KA100 Junior presented by P1 Racing Engines, different sponsor for this year, but a whole host of drivers in this KA100 Junior session. In the first, Brady Schad for Millwright Racing will lead them out, and then Jackson Deal, I believe, the next driver on that MPG Motorsports kart. Is we have a little bit of a situation in Scales, but track officials getting that all cleared up. Green flag in the air now, Caleb, is Jackson Deal, one of those drivers that will be one to watch. Same with the likes of Landon Boer, Caleb Tarter, and the rest of the MPG Motorsports squad. They obviously have a lot of laps around here, so they're going to be the ones to watch this weekend. But Brady Schad out in front at the time being. More drivers behind, like Benham Abernathy, who got a couple heat wins at the United States Pro Kart Series round at Millwright Raceway last weekend, fighting with some of the best drivers in the nation, like Diego Ardiles, Edzovin Montien, Turner Brown. Really cool to see that Midwest representation at the front of the pack there, and they are going to try and convert that pace into wins here at Whiteland Raceway Park today. First driver is across the line. Jackson Deal provisionally going purple as Benham Abernathy. Again, the exact same time for Jackson Deal and Benham Abernathy, a 51.249 for those 2 drivers in the early stage of this race. Ascent Dromoliv making it 600ths away from the top spot there, and then Sam Tutwiler and Brady Schad rounding out your top 5 provisionally.
Yeah, and just what happened off camera on that first lap, the 817 of Thomas Anthony pulled into the pits, so unfortunately their qualifying session is done. They have to go to the back. For what happened there with the 206 Juniors, looks like a kart may have lost their brakes and actually had to bounce off the barriers to make sure that that driver didn't hit anyone else in their kart. So fortunately everyone is okay as we are now underway here for your K100 Juniors. Jackson Deal on that MPG KR lead the way right now out in front, and then Abernathy for the Hodes Driver Development in P2. Here comes Schad though. Brady Schad up to the front for the moment. Abernathy goes right back for P2. Landon Brewer, and here comes Caleb Tarter out of nowhere. Up onto the point as of now. Sam Tutwiler cracks the top 5 and goes to P4, and they're all shaking up all the way through. And how about that for Brady Schad? He was up towards the top of the field, now finds himself in the 8th position.
What happened to the Millwright Racing driver we've seen throughout this qualifying session? The Jackson Deal has been reeling them in lap by lap, corner by corner, and you can see there now on the live pictures through Daytona corner they go. They are bumper to bumper there, and it's the exact same thing that happened to Schad in 206 Junior qualifying, but the roles reversed. This could really hurt Jackson Deal's attempt for pole, because he is 0.5 of a second away from Caleb Tarter, his MPG Motorsports teammate. Checkered flag across the line, this time by as Benham Abernathy for Hope's driver development. Provisionally on top as Caleb Tarter takes it back. MPG Motorsports is not letting go of that pole position, and for the moment, we're going to wait for the final couple of karts to come across the line. It's looking like MPG Motorsports will take pole position for P1 Racing Engines KA100 Junior. What a run for Caleb Tarter, and how about that? Ryan Mort makes it another MPG Motorsports kart in the top 5, and Caleb, if I'm not mistaken, that is 4 of the top 5 are MPG Motorsports machine. How about that? The only outlier, Benham Abernathy on that Hotes driver development OTK in second. Outside that top 5, Sam Tutwiler, Cash Perkins, Shane Reddy, Brady Schott, who looked like a potential pole position taker there, is down in 9th, and Asen Dramalev for Technokart USA, rounding out your top 10 in KA100 Junior.
Yeah, so big day there for the MPG boys as they're able to go 4 out of the top 5. Like you said, Benham Abernathy kind of spoiling their plans of a top 5 lockout. Sam Tutwiler, a privateer, up in that 6th position. Cash Perkins making the trip down from Northern Indiana in P7. Shane Reddy there in P8, and Brady Schott. And man, how about that for Brady Schott? He was all over the board. He was up on provisional pole, he was back into 3rd, then he was back up into 2nd, and then find himself now settled down there in the 9th position. So that is going to do it for all of qualifying here for the weekend. Up next, we go heat racing. 14 laps for all classes except for kit karts. That'll do 12. That is going to start here roughly in about 10 minutes, I believe 7 actually, until we're going to find ourselves on track for Heat 1 and the only heat of the day. And then concluding all of the events today, we're going to have our cookout at 5:15, presented by Whiteland Raceway Park. And I'll tell you what, one thing I'm very much looking forward to, and I think you are as well, we're talking about it, our very own Xander Clements will sit on the dunk tank and possibly get jumped into the big bucket of water that's been sitting for the past 2 days, and I'm very much looking forward to that one.
Listen, all I'm saying is all the years of baseball that I did as a kid is really coming down to this one moment to really throw this guy in the tank. I'll be looking forward to that, and the whole paddock will be having some more drivers and team managers in there as well. I think both of the MPG head honchos of Race Liberante and Chase Jones are going to have their shot in there. Chris Kardashian, the series owner, will be in there as well. It should be a lot of fun, Caleb. As really always when we come to Whiteland Raceway Parks, the fireworks. I almost forgot about the fireworks. We have a whole list of things that we're doing this afternoon, so looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Yes, beautiful 4th of July weekend as we're getting set to go here. Heat race is coming to you guys here soon in about 10 minutes. We're going to go on a commercial break. When we come back, we are heat racing here for Route 66 Sprint Series. You're watching live on Kart Chaser Grassroots from Whiteland Raceway Park. We're going to see you guys here shortly for more racing.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.